Calling this meeting to order. My name is Joey Buckingham. This is the skeleton crew ADR tonight, but we do have a quorum, and I will let the others introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Laura Dewar.
And Mark Fritz.
Thank you guys for coming, and hopefully it'll be a very compact meeting. We now have open time. By the way, I'm the vice chair, so the chair is not here tonight. So if I do something wrong, just understand I don't do it very often. So open time for comments and some 3 minutes first. Any Zoom? Okay, does that sound good? So this is the open time for public comments, and it's a limit of 3 minutes per speaker. So, Michael? Does anyone have anything they would like to say, or anyone that is following us via Zoom?
There's no one on Zoom right now.
Okay, great. So then the next item is the approval of minutes from May 16th. Have you two read the minutes?
Yep, I can say the approved.
Same here, yes, they looked good.
Third? Okay, great. Okay, now we have, hold on, everybody. We have, there we go. So we have the planning project applications, and the first one is 18 Canyon Road. And I think Alex, you'll go first, describing it to us.
Can everyone hear me? Yeah, can everyone hear me? Okay. Good evening, ADR members. The applicant at 18 Canyon Road is requesting approval for a design review, a hillside lot permit, and a non-conformity permit.
You gotta move
No.
Do you want me to mute town hall?
Testing, yes.
I think that might have been it. Michael found
Sure. Okay. All right. The applicant at 18 Canyon Road is requesting approval for design review, a hillside lot permit, and a non-conformity permit. The project proposes to remodel and renovate the existing non-conforming single-family home. The project proposes to convert a portion of the existing home, 434 square feet, into a new 731 square foot ADU. The ADU meets all the requirements for ministerial approval, and it's not part of the design review process. The project proposes to transfer the 400. The ADU meets all the requirements for the ministerial approval, and it's not part of the design review process. The project proposes to transfer the 434 square foot to the lower level of the home. The project will convert the existing one-car garage into a new family room with a full bathroom and closet. Construction of the new garage will require removal of the existing deck. However, the applicant will rebuild the deck in its current design, matching the materials and design. A nonconformity permit is required to enlarge, extend, reconstruct, or structurally alter existing nonconforming structures. Staff requests that the ADR group discuss the merits of the project and provide a formal recommendation to town council. Thank you. Yes. Sure.
Okay. Hello, hello? Okay, great. Okay. My name is Daniel Castor, Castor Architecture, the applicant and architect for this project. The owner recently purchased the home and simply wanted to add space onto the back of the house where the addition is, where the story poles are. In the process, because the existing one-car garage, it's sort of 1.5 car garage, you haven't seen the inside, but it's the floor is really irregular. So she wanted to look at replacing the foundation and doing some work down there. And I said, well, it came to light in my discussions with Alex and Rebecca that we could use this floor area that was being converted into the ADU at the main level, that was available per code for an addition somewhere else in the house. The house sits on a lot that would be virtually unbuildable now because it's so carved up, and because of the easements and setbacks. It would be sort of like the Zaha Hadid kind of sliver of building. But what we're proposing to do is simply, with this lower level addition, is occupy an envelope that already exists. So the deck to the side, to the right of the existing garage, there's nothing under it. So we're simply going to, we are proposing to widen or shift the parking to the right, so it's easier to access from the driveway and the rest of the parking pad. I think that would be more functional, and we're not, like I said, we're not increasing the perceived mass of the house at all. And that allows us to occupy the current one-car garage with a family room or whatever she wants to do with it. And really, that's it. I think it's pretty straightforward. But let me know if you have any questions. Should I stay up here or sit back down? Okay, sure.
Do either of you have any questions? I do
No,
not.
I think I'm good.
Are there any public comments regarding this project? So I think we can bring it back for a vote with the ADR. Thank you for your presentation. I can
start. Just a quick comment. Alex, could you bring up the facade drawings, just some of the elevations? I think my only thought, maybe this is kind of a question, but looking at the fenestration on some of the lower windows that you're adding, I think where the garage is, the current garage, where you're adding in that sort of picture window and 2 side windows. Yeah, so maybe the next, yeah, there we go. So I was wondering on that facade and one of the others, the choice on the Muttons and Mullions on those right windows, right and left windows, don't seem to match the upper fenestration details. I wondered if that was purposeful or a particular style you're going for. I would guess I'm leading the witness in saying I think it'd be more successful if those windows, were somewhat similar to the fenestration style above. I didn't know if you chose that for a particular reason. I think they're placeholders. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I would say that when I looked at there are a couple different window styles on the home already, but because of the proximity of the ones right above it, I'd probably look at matching the proportions of the Muttons and Mullions on the new windows below. I think that really is my only comment on the project, which is pretty minor.
It's pretty minor.
Yeah.
you like to go?
Just, I mean, I don't really have much in terms of comments. I think the addition, both the ADU and the massing is pretty modest because you're already using space that is below the decking, and then most of it is kind of at the rear of the property. And it seems to follow within the design guidelines. So I don't have any other feedback.
Joey, I have one more thing. I'll apologize. I just want to actually state, we've seen projects in prior ADR sessions that look to fill in understories. And I just wanted to comment, just to make sure we're being as consistent as possible. This project does not increase the FAR, other than, I think it's like 10, 15 square feet or something small like that, I noticed. But it's essentially keeping the FAR of the hillside lot consistent. So that's why I think from a support standpoint, you can make the support for this particular project. Doesn't increase the FAR of the overall development on the site.
Right. So my last comments, I actually do have one question of you. There's a portion of the back infill of the ADU that has a flat roof, from what I can tell, and then there's two sloping roofs on either side of that. Is there a reason for that? You wouldn't get enough head height? I couldn't quite tell from the story poles. I mean, it's not something that anybody sees, but I was just curious why the whole thing doesn't have the same shed roof.
Yeah, it's an awkward moment. There are a lot of roofs flying around back there.
Yeah.
And so I was looking for the quietest solution. Can you go maybe 4 down?
The only part I didn't totally understand.
Yeah, right. So, okay, so that's good. You can see that the roof, as it's coming down over to the existing, there's a bathroom on the right with those little windows. I forget what the plate height there, it's 7 feet or even less. So the easiest thing to do would have simply been to extend the roof over and then have a hip at the corner where it would return around the side. But I just felt like the ceiling heights on the main level in the kitchen and dining areas are so high. I mean, I think they're 10, 11 feet. And to have, a space that you're adding on to that next door just didn't make any sense to me. So wasn't my first choice, but I think this is the least, I don't know, it's the quietest solution. They'll have to rake some leaves up there. That's not great, but all things considered, I think it's,
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Could you flip to the proposed? Just the next slide. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. You're going to the expense of adding, you're not going to add something with a 7-foot plate height.
yeah.
Okay, so my comments are, thank you.
Okay.
My comments are, I also 100% support this project, and I want to make it very clear, because we sometimes get stung by precedent, why I have the findings to support this, and it's because it doesn't change the volume of the structure. There have been some other projects where they're creating an ADU on the first floor, and then they're adding a huge addition above that's in the setbacks, and it affects the neighbors. This doesn't affect anyone, and it keeps the house pretty much the same volume, and I actually think it's a huge improvement for the garage to be moved over, because I went in there with a big car today. And you might consider kind of like a hammerhead or something to pull in and to be able to back out and go back out, facing forward. But anyway, I completely support the project. I think it's great. So that's 3 out of 3, unanimous. We can move to the next one. Okay, any questions or anything? Okay, thanks so much. Let's see, so then, for Chestnut. Alex, you want to take it from here?
Good evening, ADR members.
Yeah.
Tonight, the applicant at 4 Chestnut is requesting approval for a design review, a hillside lot permit, and a variance. The project is requesting to remove and replace the existing Baleen Rock retaining walls with new concrete retaining walls, and to replace the concrete patio at the pool with artificial turf. The project also plans to relocate the pool equipment to the existing shed. The project is also requesting a new outdoor kitchen in the side yard setback. The variance is requested to allow for the construction of new outdoor kitchen and the construction of a new concrete wall over 48 inches within the side yard setback. Staff requests that the ADR group discuss the merits of the project and provide a formal recommendation to Town Council. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to see the site. And this project seems very simple and straightforward to me. What happened over the winter was that the rock walls that are in the rear yard that exist are too low for the hillside sloping down towards the pool. And there was constant mud flow into the pool, onto the pool patio, and it was just a giant mess over the winter. So what we want to do is basically replace those rock walls with a concrete wall and excavate it back slightly. The walls would max out at, let's see here, 6 feet along the pool. And then also add some space, take the cut soil that's from the excavation at that rock wall and create a larger turf area and eliminate some old decrepit steps that are never used that lead up to the pool patio. We explored patio around the pool. We explored replacing the pool, but the costs were just prohibitive. So the client would like to stay with the oval shaped pool and just eliminate the patios around the pool. They are forced, and the concrete that is there now is not attractive. And after some debate, we just ended up wanting to turf the whole space and just not draw attention, or as little attention as possible, as to, control joints and paving patterns that don't, they just don't relate to the oval shaped pool. I think it's pretty straightforward. I'm happy to answer any questions. Really, we've significantly reduced impervious surface, and the goal is to balance the cut and fill. So the excavation for the new wall would be moved to this area of the downhill side where the other new wall is proposed. Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
I have a question. Where is the new outdoor kitchen?
It's just off the small stone patio adjacent to the house.
Okay, okay,
It's basically right where there's a rock wall now.
got it. Okay. Do either of you have any questions?
I was just gonna ask, where in that retaining wall, is it 6 feet? Is it just in like a section? Because
Yeah, it's just a small section right behind the bench,
okay,
right behind that sofa that's along right there. And then it starts stepping back down.
okay, thank you.
Hey, Brad, it does look like you're adding some other rock wall above that, and around that sort of sitting area at the sort of,
Yeah, that's an existing overlook space now, but the stairs that lead up there are unsafe. They're just all over the place. So we're trying to basically take all this rock that's going to come out from the removal of the rock walls and repurpose it to just do some low, 2 foot max kind of cheek walls to, to potentially in the future, put some meandering pathways on the hillside. That's not part of the scope now, and it's more of a, like, kids will have a place to run around on the hillside. We weren't gonna do that now, but the site access is so hard here that the goal is to repurpose the existing rock. So I'm using it to just create some low walls that max out at about 2 feet tall.
Got it. Okay, because part of the wall is concrete and part of the walls are those rock, so you're reusing it to create those other rock walls.
Yeah, to create, yeah, exactly. They'll just be dry stacked. We won't put any concrete in them, and it's basically an effort to not haul material out of this project.
Got it. And then one other question on the new concrete wall, is that just, is there a planting in front of it? Is it exposed board form, or what's the sort of finish expected to be on that?
I just figured it's gonna be a smooth trowel, finished stucco, cool gray in color. And the lawn runs up to it from the pool side. There just really isn't space to have any usable space in that area, but there's cascading plants that will pour over the top, and I put, there's some wall lights, like low level wall lights and pedestal, there's pedestals to kind of break it up. And, we didn't want to put the cost into rock, and we also prefer the simpleness of the concrete wall.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question on the setbacks? I don't see them in the drawings. They're supposed to be 45 on each side. What's the width of the lot?
The width of the lot is 50 feet.
Okay, so
So it's basically completely unbuildable.
Yeah,
okay, they're not on
that's
that
what I
drawing
figured.
either.
Thank you.
Yeah, there is no buildable area on this property.
No one online, thanks.
Gosh, I'll learn how to do this. I have no problem with this project. I vote to approve it. It's a difficult site, and I think it is repairing a lot of problems that exist. I also applaud the move to put the pool equipment in the shed, because I did notice when I was there, it was quite loud. And I think this is a great solution for the problems on this property.
I can second that. I think it's an improvement that will help the family enjoy their house more. The one thing to add, I know the outdoor kitchen is by a property line, but that's already a patio space where they probably hang out and entertain anyhow. So I don't think it's creating like an increased noise issue for neighbors. And then just wanted to note, we did receive the neighbor's email about the tree. But I think that's something that they can work out amongst themselves. I don't think from a design perspective, there's anything we can say about that. So, yep, I support it. Thanks.
Yeah, if third on that one, I would say I agree on the outdoor kitchen. We didn't talk about that much, but it kind of backs up to the other home, so it seems to work well where it is versus being out in the landscape where the other pool is. So I think it's a good spot for
Also
it.
sunk.
And sunken, yeah, it's kind of
Compared to the
embedded
house
in.
above it,
Yeah,
it's
way
not
low.
a noise issue.
Nope, totally agree. I was going to ask, I'm sorry to ask, Brad, are you replacing the pool equipment, or are you just relocating the existing pool equipment?
I need to get it evaluated. I don't think it's that old, but we'll replace it if it's in any shape of failing anytime soon. And I need to get a pool person out there to evaluate it, but we're gonna put it all in the shed. Right now, it's just like sitting out just sitting out in the open. It's really kind of strange.
Yeah, no, it's really applaud the move to put it in the shed. And I would definitely encourage, you commented on some plants that might hang over the concrete wall. I'd probably encourage that as much as you can, because that will turn into a sound reflector from the pool that will bounce back down to that valley. So if you can soften that in any way, that's why I was asking what the material was. If you can soften it with plantings, that helps a little bit versus adding the rock back to the facade of that, the face of it. So I just encourage, do what you can to make that soft as possible, because it will, create a sound bowl. But otherwise,
Sure.
supportive of the project.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I think that is a 3 out of 3 approval. Tonight's great. Thank you, Brad.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. So the next project is a conceptual design review conceptual review of Shady Lane. And Alex, you want to present that to us?
I don't actually have a presentation since it's a conceptual review. The applicant is here to.
Okay, great. So Michael Yandel will tell us what's up. I drove by today and I think we all got this sheet.
Pretty ones? Hi, good evening.
Joy, just real quick, would you want to let the public know that Two Crest will be?
Yes, good point, Alex. Two Crest is going to be pushed till next month because we do not have a quorum tonight because Laura is the applicant and she needs to recuse herself. So that just leaves Mark and me, and that's not enough. So she has graciously accepted that we have to push it to next month.
Okay. Good evening, committee members. I'm Michael Yandel, landscape architect. I'm here with my clients, Geeta and Nick Stieritz. Can you hear me? Yes. Great. I have a head cold thing going. It's very strange. Alex, can you put up the aerial? We're here as a preliminary review of this project because there's a number of things going on here that I wanted to get in front of you guys without going to a full-blown application. If you've been to this site, this is a beautiful little house. It's a shingle-style house, 51 Shady Lane. It's surrounded by street frontage of Norwood, Shady Lane, and Southwood, and has one contiguous neighbor to the west, with the house roughly in the middle of the site and a garage that is accessed off of Norwood. Can you flip to my context site? I just want to run through some, the photographs, context photos. I just have about 6 photos surrounding the property, showing it from the outside all the way around. And if you can't pull those up, I'm happy to run through it without it. There we go. That is a photograph from Southwood looking into the site in the area that the proposed ADU would go. Click ahead. We can go through these quickly. That is the existing sliding gate on Southwood going into the property. Next slide. That's the existing gate open, so you see what the house looks like as you go into the property. This is actually used primarily as the exit and still will be. The primary entry is on Shady. And we're not proposing any changes here. I just want to clue you into what it looks like from the surrounding properties. That is the sliding gate on the Norwood side, solid gate, and you can see the existing pool house behind it that we're proposing to remove. That's the neighbor's adjacent garage just to the west. And that property, again, goes block to block between Norwood and Southwood. And that's the existing entry gate on Shady Lane. Go ahead and pull up the illustrative. So programmatically, what we're looking at is removing there's a pool house in the middle of the site. We'd like to get rid of that. It kind of just plugs the entire backyard, and it has currently been allowed because of a variance, as the existing pool has also. So we have they're both non-conforming conditions on the lot. We're not adding any non-conforming issues, we're just not taking any away. So that's the reason I went in with a preliminary, is to get it in front of you guys. I'm sensitive to how you guys view variances. Typically don't bring things to you that I can't believe in and support. So the idea is take the pool house out of the middle of it, move the swimming pool so it's not sitting in the center of the yard, that it's justified right on the property, and it's in a better, sunnier location. Their kids are getting older. They actually could use a bigger pool. We are showing an associated terrace that is to the north, backs up to the Norwood side, and a outdoor gas fireplace, and a small trellis so that we can get a climbing white rose up on that. And then the rest of the garden would match the way the rest of the property looks. So the pool is still into the rear setback, but like I mentioned, it's an existing variance that we're not exacerbating, and it butts up to the garage of the adjacent properties. So we don't feel like there's any real impact to adjacent properties, noise, light, seclusion. And if you slide up on that just slightly, you can see where we are proposing a small ADU on the southward side, roughly 750 square feet or so. We haven't really buffed that out in any kind of elevation. It would certainly be subordinate to the home, since the house is 2 stories, very vertical. So anything we would be putting in there would be, low slung shingle style, match the windows, very cottagey. The whole thing gets wrapped by and bolstered by the existing and proposed landscape. Happy to take any questions.
I have a question. The proposed pool is how far off of the property line in the back there?
8 feet.
8 feet. And the proposed terrace and trellis and fireplace, or?
Roughly 6 feet off property line. It's at a kind of an angle, but
Okay.
more like 25 feet off the road. And again,
Wait, so it's 8 feet off the property line, but 25 feet off the road?
yeah,
Okay,
or 20 feet off the road. See where Norwood is?
yeah, okay,
That's just parking around that side. And then there's the road, and then there's an adjacent neighbor, I believe the Pickett's to the north.
okay. Okay.
So in all circumstances, we front roads. We don't
Right.
have abutted neighbors except for that rear property.
Right. What was the setback from Norwood of any structure, the pool house? What was the original setback from
I think
Norwood?
25.
Okay. And the setback of the pool was 40 feet, or no, it's not
No,
40 feet,
it's
it
into
was,
the rear setback. You can
20
see the
yeah.
40-foot line parallels the back property line.
It was, I mean, the setback's 40, but the existing pool is what? Off of the back property line, probably like, looks like
25,
25, okay.
if I had to guess, if you half that.
So
I mean, if you apply the strict setbacks on this lot, you virtually have nothing, nowhere that you could build.
Yeah,
That's the hardship on this.
right. Do you others have any questions?
Just quickly, the existing garage is probably what, like a 12-foot garage, something like that, height-wise? Ballpark? I'm trying to balance the garage.
Which,
The
the
garage
neighbor?
you're removing. I'm sorry, the pool house.
Oh,
My
the pool
apologies,
house.
the pool house.
15 by 30.
And then height, it's probably about a
16?
16 feet, something like that. And the proposed trellis, is that in the same vein as that? I would think the trellis, because you're a little bit closer to the road, But the mass is obviously a lot less in the trellis. I was trying to sort of
Yes.
balance those two out because you're kind of pushing something to the road, but you're also removing a
Yeah,
pretty big
effectively, the
mass.
trellis, I'm just trying to get some paint finish on that side of the property to match the white trim that runs around the property. The trellis is this wide.
Yeah,
It's just a device to get.
Oh, it's a linear trellis.
It's a
not
lattice.
Not a pergola.
Not a
like
pergola. No, no,
Okay.
it doesn't cover it like
Okay,
a covered structure.
gotcha.
It's just the idea of getting, climbing rows up onto that as a backdrop. to the
Gotcha.
seating area.
Okay.
And at the Norwood side of that patio is the barbecue, right? Is that what or is that correct?
No, the barbecue's back over on, inside by the house.
Okay, oh, that's just a gas fireplace.
Gas
Oh, okay.
fireplace.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone in the audience have any questions? Online?
There's no one online.
Just one other question. The reason for making the pool so long, is that like for swimming laps or something?
It is for swimming laps, but also when you put a spa into a pool, let's say you have a 45-foot pool, it really starts to truncate your usable area in it. So 50 with a spa in it gives us a good swimming lane. Geeta's a big swimmer. And her kids are too.
Okay, thanks.
Who wants to go first?
I can go. I think this lot is very interesting based upon that western neighbor. Like it's very unusual.
It is.
And it doesn't present itself that way, by the way, not knowing that the common perception would be that there's multiple owners, right? There's one in Norwood and one in Southwood. That's how it sort of appears
It
as you walk around the streets. I think because you're on the frontage road of Norwood, I don't have as much of an issue with that, that terrace being in the side yard setback, or I guess it's the side yard at this point, and the rear yard. I think the length of the pool to Laura's question is going to be questioned. Like you're at 8 feet from that property line, it starts to get pretty tight. With a lot this size, you think about, well, why not just keep the pool where it is, keep it in its current orientation and lengthen it, and slide it down. So you rotate the whole pool 90 degrees, slide it closer to that, to the Norwood side of the property. You get the length of the pool you want, you get away from that particular neighbor property line, might achieve both goals that you have. So that I could see that being potentially less controversial with respect to that rear property line. Is that going to make that much of a difference? It's not a habitable area, that rear of that western neighbor. It's the garage. So I can see its location making more sense that way. You do end up with a much more gracious lawn space that you're not if you bisect it with the pool. I don't really have, I'm sort of just kind of thinking about it in my head, like, is that, what we've seen a lot of recently is pushing things to the edges of sites. So that's been a consistent theme where we're going into setbacks and we're leaving generous open space for generally the applicant in the middle of the site, which is penalizing to some degree the neighbors and the town because stuff's pushed to the edges. The ADU is pushed to the edge here, the pool and the patio are pushed to the edges. Difference to this site, even if you kept it in the middle of the backyard, it's still in the setbacks. Like it doesn't really matter in that regard. But it is a trend that we're seeing, and I'm hesitant to be super supportive of that approach across the board. So I'll let my other members speak and see what kind of sparks in my head.
Yeah, I also felt, something that we draw a hard line on is exacerbating a nonconformity. And you already have a non-conforming pool with the existing site. So I feel like the line of that existing pool is kind of, then to take that pool and rotate it and push it way into the setbacks, I just don't think we can support it with and create a precedent then the next guy comes along and says, well, you let them do it 8 feet from the property line because you don't really have a hardship here where it has to be pushed to the edge. If you could shorten that pool and not exacerbate, basically keep it to the line of the pool house and not exacerbate the nonconformity further out toward the setback, I could support the terrace and the fireplace in the setback and non-conforming, because, there is a precedent for that one. Remember the pool on the road up at the top of that hill off of Southwood? Remember that really cool modern house, kind of mid-century house? There is a precedent for that. When something's on a road, it's not as offensive to people as being next to their house. So I can kind of support being right up, exacerbating a nonconformity that's on the road. But when it's next to another lot, I think that's where we have a harder problem, because here it's just a garage. It's not really going to bother those people. But then the next applicant will say, well, you let that be 8 feet next to that property. So we have to kind of hold the line in some way or another. And it's a pretty big, you do have some leeway. So those were my thoughts, just looking at that you're gonna have a hard time pushing that so far.
I had kind of a similar thought process. It just feels like it's not trying to follow the setbacks at all. I understand that it didn't fit in before, but this is just kind of really going for it. So yeah, I agree with the previous comments.
It's good to go conceptual.
But
No,
do-
well, that's why I'm here conceptually. So just so we're clear, as we all have been doing this for a long time, and we all say this, every project has to stand on its own merits. Just because you approved it on one project doesn't mean somebody can come in and say, you gave him 8 feet. Everything has to be on its own merits. Do they have the same circumstances? Do they have the same
Right.
frontages, same adjacencies, all that? So I always take that in consideration when I'm putting a site plan together. I'm generally not throwing things on a plan willy-nilly, but I understand your comments. We'll go back with the Stewarts.
Well, like that previous one, I made clear, the one up Canyon, that was granted or approved. And I wanted to make it very clear that we had findings. There were reasons why that was okay, but sometimes the exact same move was not okay. And to your point, that every project has to stand on its own with its own merits. So sometimes you say someone might take that and say the exact same thing we just tried to do over here and it was denied, but it was different because it was a second story in the setbacks overlooking somebody else.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, it's all about scale
right,
and
right.
impact and seclusion and light.
I just think you'll have a better time of it if you pull in your horns a little bit here.
Okay. I think to Mark's comment, we would rather not be looking at extending the pool in the center of the site there. It's rather cumbersome to get down the stairs and still have a place to land without pushing the pool further out into the yard, which I think then becomes an issue in that direction. So if we can agree that the direction that we have this is the way we'd like to go, we'll go back to the drawing board and fine tune this and come to you guys with a full-blown package. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
It's going to be great, however you do it. And I think it'll be so much better to put that ADU over in the corner where it's hidden instead of, it'll be a big improvement to have that guest house out of there. Thanks. Information and discussion. Do we have any information and discussion? Please say no.
No.
Okay. New agenda items.
I was actually going to ask, I know that we're in interim between planners, right? There are some projects that are going on with this, with the downtown plan. I was wondering if there was a point in time when that was going to be brought to the ADR. I don't know if you guys have had, or the other ADR members have had time to review those proposals that they've come up with, A, B, and C, or whatever it might be, for the downtown rehabilitation of these facilities. It might be worthy to put that on the agenda if you, for a later meeting. I feel like it's probably the most significant design project in the town and probably should be brought to the design review committee for comments at some point. That's kind of what I was thinking. So it'd be nice to
Yeah,
maybe get that
absolutely.
on the agenda, at the appropriate time.
Right, with sufficient time to review it or make a special meeting of us just for that.
Yeah,
'Cause I feel like on the big nights when we have so many projects, we just get tired.
that would be overkill, I agree.
Yeah, and that's so important.
But it's moving ahead. I think
Right.
they've even I think the town council has chosen a direction already for the schematic design, if I'm not correct. So maybe it'd be good for us to review that in a meeting, or even the next phase, which is starting some development, like massing development, I think, might be good. Let's put
Absolutely.
it out there.
Yeah, the board decided to move forward with a certain scenario. All that information is on our website.
Yeah.
Under the council meeting, all the designs and everything. But we could get you any information that you want, and I think their plan was to bring it
Okay. Oh, great.
here.
Terrific.
Great,
Thank you.
be nice to see it.
Yeah. I
It
think
it affects us more than any of these houses do.
somebody's going to ask, why did the design review council not take a look at this?
Yeah, like, who
At some
approved
point.
that? I think that's great. And then I think we have definitely a quorum for July
Yes.
18th. I'm going to be there, you're going to be there, someone else said they were going to be there.
Yeah.
So we at least have three. I'm sorry, well, you don't count for your pool, but I want to make sure that we get, sorry about that. Anything else, everybody?
No, I don't
I
have
move-
anything else.
Who moves to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
I move.
Record time.
All right, great. Thanks, Alex. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.